This is the Average Guy Network, and you have found Home Gadget Geeks show number 377, recorded on November 1st, 2018. Here on Home Gadget Geeks, we cover all the favorite tech gadgets that find their way into your home. News, reviews, product updates, and conversations, all of which we're going to talk about tonight. We're back to the old format, so welcome back to that. No guests until like next week, and then we're back kind of through Christmas time. But of course, news, reviews, product updates, and conversation, all for the Average Tech Guy. I'm your host, Jim Collison, broadcasting live from the AverageGuy.tv studios here in a beautiful Bellevue, Nebraska. This fall has been, Mike, the fall here has been like last couple of weeks. Once it stopped raining, once it stopped feeling like Seattle, God, it's just been great.
Absolutely perfect weather.
Yeah, it's great. This is the best time. You're like, oh, now I know I live in Nebraska, but then snow is on its way. So,
right.
And then there's that part. Of course, we post a show with world-class show notes. We'll have a few for you this week out at theaverageguy.tv. Don't forget, you can join us live on our mobile app. Lopta is doing it tonight. He is out there listening live. HomeGadgetGeeks.com is the way to find it. Just go on your phone. Go to that site on your browser, and then there's two big buttons, iPhone, Android. Just push the one you have. It'll automatically load, and then our app is there. And we thank our Patreon subscribers for helping me pay for that. It's a couple $100 a year to have Spreaker host and make that, so we appreciate you guys. HomeGadgetGeeks.com is how to get there. TheAverageGuy.tv/Patreon if you want to jump on the bandwagon and support us. We're going to be, Mike, I'm going to be doing some experiments. We're thinking about using Patreon at work. And I need to set up some demos of what I could do with my podcasts at work, subscription type stuff.
Yeah.
So if you're a new listener or an old listener and you are a Patreon subscriber, you may see some new things, new options. It won't change or affect what happens to you, but you may see some new options pop in for Patreon. Don't panic. Those are all just tests. I'm just testing out new things and different ways to do stuff. I figured the best way to do it was just mock up my account. I'm going to take it into work and say, see what we can do. Yeah. And I don't say that way at work when I'm talking. I don't talk that way at work.
Make up voices for everyone when you're
see what I can do here. But if you're a Patreon subscriber, just want to say you might want to watch for those, or it might trigger some alerts or some of those kinds of things. We're going to go back and grab some old episodes and make them available on a plan. Again, it's all, if you want to subscribe to it that way, you can, but it's all me just testing it out. So just watch out for that. If you're listening or you're subscribing on Patreon, of course, don't forget post-show crypto is always on Patreon. And so it's free. You can just head out there. We put it out there. It's really me trying to trick you into supporting us. I'm going to come clean. I'm just going to come clean. I'm just trying to trick you. Whatever. So if you want to head out there, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon, every week we do post show and I put it there with audio and video available for you. We get some comments. Those listeners, it's like five people do it each week, Mike, but those 5 let me know if it's not there. So we put them out there on Patreon. If you want to support us, you can. Tajoski, appreciate your sponsorship. He's new to it, and we thank you for doing that as well. We want a big thanks to Erin Lawrence last week. Always does a great job, Mike. She's great to have on the podcast.
She's one of my favorites. Yeah, she always has some really cool gadgets she's reviewed. She does a great job over on YouTube, doing her own videos. So yeah, I love having her out. I always learn something new when she's here. Learn about some new cool gadget.
I know. She's super sweet. That window washer, the robot window washer, was one of those things. A little too expensive. I can't drop $450 on a window washer. I can pay a kid a lot of times for $450.
Oh, totally. Especially when I don't wash my windows now, so should probably have someone come out and do it. Just pay them a little bit.
I know. Yeah, it's like a $50 weekend. Have somebody
kind of 2-year-old a ladder and just say have a ball.
You may not know, but I'm a big Nespresso guy now, right? I bought a Nespresso coffee maker. I like it so much I bought one for work. We actually there's 3 of us that went in on it, and it's only $100. So it's not like they're terribly expensive for what you get. So 3 of us went in, $35 each, got an espresso. We stock water, those things really, if you have any kind of coffee, by the way, coffee maker, use distilled water. You never have to clean that thing. Like it doesn't get gummy and it doesn't get minerally, and depending on what kind of water quality you have in the area you're in, At Walmart, okay, it's probably $100 in Canada, but here in the United States, distilled water is like 67 cents. Like it's super cheap a gallon, right? Pick it up, run it through your coffee makers. That's what, and we've done that from the very beginning. Aaron broke news on Twitter. Listen to me, it sounds like it's a big deal. Nespresso is putting out, or there's somebody is making a Nespresso car travel coffee maker that you can take with you in your car, and you put the water in the pod, and it brews the coffee for you right in the car.
Really?
Yeah.
So it plugs into your car outlet and just does it that way?
Yeah.
Huh.
I was like, why couldn't you have brought that to the show last week?
Yeah,
That'd have been so great. So I want to have her back on. I don't want to wait till the spring. I may try to feature her at some point just because she's reviewing it right now.
Okay.
So super cool. Yeah, no, super cool. But thanks to Aaron for coming on last week. I always appreciate that. Like I mentioned, we're kind of through our guests. John Larson comes next week. We're going to do, he works over at AIM. He's a total gadget geek like the rest of us. He's working on some 3D printing. He's doing some stuff with telescopes. John's just a good guy. So come back next week. We'll have John on, one more interview, and then we kind of have Mike and I kind of have a Black Friday. Mike, I don't know if I talked to you about this yet, but coming up right after John, we're gonna scour the internet. And if you want to help us on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/the average guy, we're gonna start scouring the web for Black Friday deals, and then you and I are just gonna go through them that night, just talk about them. Links will be in the show notes. We'll give some commentary on it. That will be the show. In the United States, Thanksgiving is not a week early, but it's earlier than it normally feels. It always feels like it's the last Thursday in November. I know it's not, but the way things fall, there's a whole nother week in November this year, right after it. So join us on the 22nd, November 22nd for that. No, that's a total lie. The 15th, that is when we're going to do the Black Friday deals. The Thanksgiving here in the United States is the 22nd, and then the 29th, and we're off to Christmas. I mean, Mike, Christmas is almost
coming up.
Yeah, we'd also like to hear in the Facebook group, or you can send me an email. What's on your Christmas list? Like, it's time to start thinking about Christmas gadgets. What are the hot items? What are you doing? How is Jim going to buy an Xbox?
Yeah, that's the one I want to see. How is Jim going to get an Xbox?
How am I going to start hanging out with Mike Wieger on his streaming channel? Mike, how's that going? I've been out there a bunch.
You have been. I appreciate it.
Yeah. How's that work?
It's been a total blast. So I for those of you who don't know, I started streaming on Twitch. I play my Xbox, capture it on the computer, and then throw out a stream out to Twitch. And it's been a total blast. Jim's always been out there. We're just now starting to get a few, extra viewers. You have to start off slow. And the way Twitch works is when people browse, they usually browse by the game they want to watch. And then the order in which you appear is how many viewers you have. So when you start out, I mean, people have to scroll a long ways to find you. And I have not put this out on my personal Facebook or personal Twitter yet, just because I don't want to, invite people out and then not stick with it. So we're going to see how it goes. But it's been a total blast. We've been having fun with it. My brother-in-law now has been hopping on with me, which helps. I've noticed it helps a lot. So this last stream, he was in there with me. It gives you someone to talk to. The conversation is more natural. Live streaming is a lot harder, Jim, than I thought it would be, especially because you're sitting there, you're playing a game, and then you gotta be entertaining. You gotta give these people a reason to stick around, especially when you're not the best at the game, which is me, right? I'm not a gamer all the time. So you gotta make it
fun though.
Yeah, it's true. It's probably gives you something to laugh at least.
No, I'm not laughing at you. And I'm laughing with you.
Yeah, exactly. So if you guys want to come out, actually, I do it every Thursday after this show. So twitch.tv/thedadnerd. And then if you want to follow me on the social medias, the Dad Nerd is where I'm at everywhere. Wieger Tech, my Twitter, that is still my personal account, the one I'll use to talk to a lot of you too. But you can always talk to me over on the Dad Nerd. That's just kind of my my new alter ego online, which I know.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I've been getting some followers though from my main, like people I actually know in real life. I'm like, oh no, somehow they're finding it on Instagram and Twitter and we'll see.
That's fun to watch. If you haven't watched somebody game, it's fun to watch. We'll take the community out there. Windows has a Twitch app. If you want to download the app, you can go to the store or whatever they call those things, and download the Twitch app. It's always on. Just be careful. That's actually my secret. Is I just leave the Twitch app running in the background, and I hear you. Come on.
Oh, there you go. So you just have it open to my channel.
Yeah. And I hear you come on. I hear these voices. You know, I'm like, hey, what's going on here? Again, why I say that in my head that way, I don't know. But, hey, what's
That's how you talk
going
to yourself in your head.
what's going on here? And then I hear you. So if you haven't gotten into it, it's worth like come over and watch Mike. And the chat is good. In fact, I may someday, I'm thinking next year, we'll probably move this show from YouTube to Twitch.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
it's
it's coming.
super easy to do too. OBS, that started out as so OBS is the open source piece of software that you run to essentially compile your stream. Super customizable, right? It can do chroma key, it can just do layers, whatever you want. It can pull in from Skype, everything. That used to, I mean, it used to work, but Wirecast, XSplit, all those paid versions were way better. OBS though has gotten, oh man, it's just fantastic, especially on the Windows side. So we'll get into this later, but I actually ended up needing to run Windows in order to get the full functionality because I'm using an Elgato capture card. So, but yeah, I mean, if you are into streaming, even if you want to go to YouTube, OBS can, it's not just for Twitch. OBS can go anywhere you want it to go. So yeah, it's really nice. It's been a fun little experiment. I like it. It's pretty fun.
Do me a favor, throw the in the show notes, throw your Twitch
Yeah.
URL in there. I left a little spot for you. And folks, if they want to head out to the show notes, they can get those out at theaverageguy.tv/HGG377 and enjoy Mike out there. You don't have to do it all the time. And get ready because I'm pretty sure we're going to move to Twitch at some point. I mean, I don't know when.
Really well, honestly. And so the thing I liked about our idea of going over to Twitch is, man, think about like besides audio, right? You would still do the Spreaker app, I'm sure, but for being able to watch that stream and engage in the chat from anywhere, Twitch is going to be where it's at. The mobile app is awesome. The way it puts the video up top, the chat below. Yes, people will need to sign up for a Twitch account to chat. But you know, that's the only really downside to it. Besides that, there's an audience there. It'll be nice. The one thing I don't know is if I don't think you would ever need to actually, because you could just forward the URL. But I wonder if you can embed the Twitch player somewhere else. Like, could you embed the Twitch player and chat on your website so people could, if they're just used to coming to your page, like I said, you could always redirect it.
Yeah.
But it does work out. It does work really, really well. It gives you a lot of cool statistics. Yeah, it's meant for streaming. It's really cool.
Got a little feedback from Ken. I guess my video is a little shaky there.
I didn't know if that was just to me, Jim, so I didn't mention it, but you've been pixelating a little bit.
Well, it's okay. We shut Saya down. Maybe that we'll talk about that a little bit later in the post show.
Not that it's doing anything right now, anyway.
No, it really isn't. Yeah, it's not the only thing that can be taking bandwidth. I'm going to need to work this winter. I am really going to need to work on a PS Sense box. It's super frustrating. I've been using the Bitdefender box, and it's great. I mean, it's great protection, and I will still continue to kind of go through the Bitdefender box, but the very front end will be a PF Sense. I think that's how I'm going to do it. Or maybe the Bitdefender box will be right at the very first thing at the router, and then or at the modem, and then we'll run PF Sense behind it.
I think you do PF Sense on the front end, the very first the firewall it hits, and then go out just to your computers that you have right there and don't put that behind the Windows Defender Firebox. Put all the Wi-Fi, everything else that all your rest of your family gets on, have that be behind the fire. Maybe, you know, because you've got good enough protection on your computer, and then that way you know that you're separated out. I don't know. It'd be one way to do it.
I don't think it's the PF. I don't think it's the Bitdefender box that's slowing things down. No, I don't think it is. But I don't know. And I'm pretty sure whenever I have these pixelization problems, it's always these freaking crypto storage or SIA or store, you know, or whatever.
Well, because they fill up your I'm gonna forget the name of what it fills up.
Some file or something. No, I don't even think it's at the router level. I just think they're busy. Like they're chatty. And they're just taking bandwidth. And I don't know. It's one of those things, could be across the network too. So the point is I can't get I don't know. Like, I don't know what's causing it. So I loved when I had PF Sense and something was consuming a bunch of bandwidth. I could see it right in the reports. I could see, okay, I know who's doing it. And so it's just a matter of getting some kind of control over the network again. It'll just be a good exercise. It's not like I'm short PCs. So probably take the Kangaroo, turn that into a PF Sense box or something and run it out of there. plenty powerful.
You can always set limiters too. That's what I do. So all my stuff is segmented out on VLANs, whether it's my wireless, my LAN, my mining rigs when I had them, everything was on its own VLAN. And then I just use the limiters to say, hey, you mining rigs or SIA or Storage A, you only get this much bandwidth. So I know that it's never going to cause an issue. Even if it does get chatty, it's never going to go over a certain amount, which that worked out well for me. That did require a managed switch, but that's actually been a lot of fun to play with. Yeah, I agree. The networking stuff's fun. We haven't talked about networking stuff in a while. I could get down a big rabbit hole there.
I think that's going to be a December project, is get my networking the way I want it. Lots of testing on that. I threw, I gave my the Google Hub to my middle son. The one I moved the couches in tonight. He needed equipment, and I just passed it down. It was a great little wireless router and all those other stuff. But put the Bitdefender box in. It's been a good little box, and I think its throughput is just fine. But it's time to. It's just kind of time. I did the last time, I had all those problems with my switches, so I replaced it with that TP-Link. I think the box is like right there.
It's nothing great. I actually put my spare one when I replaced my man switch. Actually, is right below my desk, so that anything when I'm testing, I don't need a 24-port switch right below my desk, but I do, and it's just great. I forgot how much I love that thing. It's just easy. It works. Low power. The fans never kick up, even though it's pretty powerful.
I did go through when I was having those problems. I did go through and I labeled every single wire, both to the switch and at the end.
Oh, that's so smart. That's a project I need to do, and I have not done it.
Yeah, it just made sense, and it took better part of 2 hours, maybe 3, to go in. Everything is down here, so it's not too bad. But a little blue tape that I always keep on my desk, except right now. I wonder what happened to my blue tape. I wonder where I moved it. But a little blue tape and a little Sharpie. And just pull it off and bend it around and write on it. And, and I looked at Mike. In fact, it's on my Christmas list at Amazon. But I looked at one of those little labelers, USB labeler. You put in, type it in, a little white thing comes out, looks pro. They're like $30. I looked at buying one of those. That's a really good gadget. I couldn't pull the trigger. I'm like, you know what? A Sharpie and some tape, good to go. Like nobody comes down here and looks at this stuff. So anyways, that for me, labeling the network made a big difference. Of course, it always guarantees you're never going to need the labeled network connections ever again. You're never going to need to look at them. Second you label it, it's going to work flawlessly forever. Right?
Because the important ones. Like for me, so I had every intention of doing that. I got that. So everything in my house runs down to my server rack. I got the patch panel, the huge it's a 48-port managed switch. Everything runs there. I know where my access point plugs in, because if I need to reset that, that's the one that of anything needs to be reset, especially because it's PoE. So instead of taking the access point off the ceiling, I just go down to the switch and unplug it and plug it back in. I know those main ones. Everything else on that switch, though, no idea. It's a total guessing game. Usually I'll fire up a video and see which light is blinking the fastest. Sometimes that'll be good enough for me to see.
Well, it was one of those projects I did over the summer. No, maybe it was spring when I was having all those network problems. And of course, it's been rock solid ever since. I just haven't had a single network problem since I labeled. And part of it is because you do the discipline of labeling everything. You make sure you don't have two plugged into the same thing, and whatever. So kind of good. I think this winter, part of the winter exercise for me is check antivirus on everything, check updates on everything, kind of make sure everything's kind of, you just kind of clean stuff up, remove some cruft, get rid of some old software that you've been running, kind of just clean some stuff up. It's the December, that Christmas time is a really good time. Okay, is my antivirus purchased for the rest of the year? Do my backups work? What kind of speed am I actually getting from my ISP? Is it what they tell me it's supposed to be? How's my modem working? Have I checked the batteries in my fire alarm? For some of us, have I checked the batteries in my hearing aids? So,
it's my walker rolling when they squeaky.
I know. Yeah. I need to grease the walker. But yeah, so we're getting to that point, and I always use the Christmas holidays between Christmas and New Year's. My Marine son is coming home, which you got to come over for the party, by the way.
Oh yeah, I'm down for that.
You are invited, but he's coming home over Christmas, so we'll spend a bunch of time with him. But it is a really good time to check your network. Kind of, if you're thinking, well, I mentioned early in the show, we're going to do kind of a Black Friday show this year with some deals that you share with us. So share those deals. Go to the Facebook group. Send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. Love to start collecting those Black Friday deals that you think are gadgety, and then we'll talk about them here on the show.
And the one thing I didn't think to test either, I would have thought to test this in my life. Actually, and I didn't really have any reason to, but on our upstairs Xbox, so we have a little switch that sits behind all of our electronics upstairs, and that then runs down here so I can plug in everything up there. My Xbox, I downloaded a game, and it just seemed to me that it took longer than it should. It worked fine, and we used that Xbox as our main Xbox for absolutely everything. And we didn't have any stutters, we didn't have anything, but I was like, man, it just seemed to take longer. So I ran a test, and obviously my internet speed is actually pretty fast. And I was like, oh man, but my internet speed's it's right at 100. That's odd. I know you see where the story is going, but I tested just on the Wi-Fi. No, my internet's not slow. My internet's fast everywhere else. For some reason, on my managed switch, that port on the switch was only negotiating at 100 megs. Mm-hmm. It was not going up to gigabit, and I didn't know why. I mean, there's still. I went back and I reconfigured it with Cisco, and that port is it's a bad port. It'll only go at 100. So things to check. Even if things are going well, you can always do some speed checks. Run iPerf. I love running iPerf. It's just fun to do. Check your throughput throughout your network. See what speed your Wi-Fi is getting you internally. Don't do a speed test the internet. Do an internal iPerf test to see what kind of speed you're getting. I always love playing with that because sometimes it can tell you when someone's gone awry.
I have not heard of iPerf. Do I need equipment for that?
iPerf is fantastic. So all you do is a command line terminal, but you can run it as a little app, and then it'll pop it up. You just run it on 2 computers. So little command line, you say iPerf, C for the client. So you might do that on a computer. Have a computer that's wired be the server. So I have one computer in my rack. You run it iPerf -S to be the server. And what it does is it tests your internal connection between those 2 computers. So I'll do a Wi-Fi one. I'll hop on my laptop and then run that as a client. Then I'll hop wired. I'll go to the different ports around the house just to make sure that I should be getting full gigabit on every single wired port. Like, there shouldn't be any reason I shouldn't be. So if I see anything, I'll know that maybe the cord got chewed on by something. Maybe the cord's loose. It's flaking.
Bad cable.
Yeah, bad cable. So yeah, iPerf is a little tool. Grab it and put it on.
So you got to have it on either end.
Yep. So you just run it on your computer.
You just run it, and it does its thing.
Software. You can actually leave it open. So I leave the server iPerf -S running in a command line on one of my computers so that I never have to worry about the server side. That's just always, the window is just minimized on one of my computers. So I can always just do it. And on your client, then you just type in the same, you type in the IP of the server computer of wherever it's running, and it just goes.
You have to walk me through that. I'll have to give that a try this winter.
Easy. Yeah. You'll love it.
I'll add it to the.
I get addicted to testing it though. Like, ooh, what's my Wi-Fi speed today?
Yeah, no, it's good. I think to know your advertised speeds, are you getting what you need, and
especially on your server. Whoa, that's weird.
What happened?
I don't know. Someone started talking on my computer or on my phone. It was just like, that was really weird.
Well, they're sneaking into the show.
I was on the DraftKings app. I don't know what was going on. It was weird. I've never seen
it. Was a commercial.
Yeah, maybe. But what was I gonna say? Oh, so to test your advertised speed of your Wi-Fi router, that's where we're in the range of it, right? Because your internet speed, you can always test that with speedtest.net. You don't need anything special. But what is the throughput of your router? It's really hard to test that. If your internet speed isn't gigabit, then it's really hard to test. So iPerf is how I test all those internal speeds.
Oh, super cool. I learned something new tonight. Very, very cool. Speaking of something new, Mike and I this last Sunday did the first annual Home Gadget Geeks meetup. Just he and I at his place.
What a blast it was. That was so much fun.
We had to test out the facilities there just to make sure they would work for maybe future meetups of some kind or whatever. And I think a success, Mike. I'm pretty sure it was.
Judging by the look of the table out there afterwards, I think it was a massive success. A lot of what do you call those?
A lot of empties.
Yeah, a lot of empties.
A lot of empties. And the ladies helped. The ladies were there.
They did. Yeah, they came. I know. That was the first time our wives had actually met. And I think they had a blast.
It the first time you and I met.
Yeah, pretty much in Omaha. I think it's like the third time we've seen each other actually in Omaha. Third or fourth time. And we almost didn't even need to be there. Our wives were just chatting away. They had a great time, and you and I had a good time. Watched some football. You,
That was good.
you
We had a little,
treated
we
me
went, we'll,
well, Jim.
say it again.
Said you treated me well. Jim brought over, I'll let you tell him. He brought over this nice little humidor.
Brought the humidor over, and
Oh,
we
his variety. It's like going to a cigar shop. I got to, pick out whatever I wanted. It was fantastic.
It was pretty great. It's stocked right now. The kids are begging me to come over like every week. They're like, hey, can you come over? They don't want me to come over. Like
They want your humidor to come over.
Exactly. And so we enjoyed. I'm gonna have to get into cigar tech. That's like I think
gotta be some good stuff around cigar.
for me, I think that's the next thing. And I talk about it so much, and I really don't smoke that much. But it's some cool stuff, and there's a little cool culture around it, and we enjoyed some time together. But in all seriousness, I'm gonna put together a local group that I think meets on a regular basis, and we'll get some things figured out and see where that goes and what kind of stuff we want to do, and maybe we'll break that out to a more national meetup level at some point in time. But for now, Mike, it was great hanging out with you. Thanks for letting me come over.
Total blast.
It was awesome. I had a great time. I opened the fridge. Speaking of that, I opened the fridge tonight, and I have 4 Oktoberfests left, and that's it. I'm done. Like I don't have any more, and I'm like, what? So I'm interested. Like winter's upon us, and last year I discovered some. I've been a Sam Adams guy for about a year now. I'm drinking a lot of Sam Adams, and so I did their White Christmas and their Winterfest or whatever they are. They've got a couple different winter beers. You drank some of the Brick Way. I brought some of the Brick Way. We stout, right?
Yeah, you and I discovered Brickway right around the same time. And if you're in the Midwest, these guys are out of Omaha, and they make some great beers, whiskeys. They make a bunch of stuff. Man, this coffee vanilla stout is absolutely fantastic. I'm usually not a stout fan, but these have been. I was actually saving this because it took all of me to not have it last night. But I saved it because these things are just so good.
Super good.
That creamy vanilla flavor. It's
with the coffee, you can really taste it. And I don't think it has caffeine in it, so I think it's safe to drink in an evening. Yeah, you can check that can. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. It's
funny. I've actually never thought of that. A coffee flavored stuff, if it actually has a little bit of caffeine in it, I doubt it.
All right, geeks. I'm interested in your winter beers. I'm kind of thinking through. I found a couple, but I'm interested in what you drink. Send me an email, jim@theaverageguy.tv. I kind of need to break out of my my traditional winter beers and kind of interested. Not a super hoppy guy, so I kind of like the craft, not the sweeter, but the stouts, some of those kinds of things. Shoot me an email and send that to me, jim@theaverageguy.tv. Interested in what your winter beers look like. What are you interested in?
And if you have any hoppy ones, just attach it to the bottom and say, hey, for Mike, because I'm a huge hoppy beer fan. So if you have suggestions for Jim, and then if you have any really hoppy ones, I'll take those suggestions.
Yeah. And I'm buying beer this weekend, so I probably won't pick it up this weekend, but it's with being down to 4, that scares me. My heart just kind of sinks a little bit. What?
Yeah.
Or it's like when I run out of Nespresso pods, I start freaking out. And but if you do that, we appreciate it. Mike, there was a little event this week. Apple spent a little time on their new product launch. Depends on where you land in the ecosystem of the world as to what they did, if it was good or bad. Tonight, we're not going to make judgments. Mike Howard, you can judge. Well, I give him the right. I give Mike Howard the right to judge everything Apple. But Mike, you kind of followed a little bit. What'd you see? What should we be paying attention to that's new from Apple?
So this is actually one of my favorite Apple events they do of the year because, WWDC is my second favorite. I like that. They do that in the summer. If you don't know, that's their worldwide developer conference. WWDC is focused on the software side, which is actually pretty cool. So that's when you get the new iOS updates, Mac OS, you find out what those are going to be. They go into beta. You can get into the public beta and get going there. So you get to see some of the features, right? My least favorite is actually the phone announcements. It used to be one of my favorites, but as phones have started to age, they're all sort of the same thing, right? It's just what ecosystem you want to be in. You can nitpick, you can get into, the specs and the camera and stuff like that, but really it's an ecosystem and software thing for the phones nowadays. So that really doesn't excite me too much. I was excited to see the different offerings that they had this last iPhone announcement, but this is actually my favorite because you don't really know what you're going to get. With iPhones, before the announcement comes out, usually you have a pretty good idea. The rumor mill has come out. The manufacturing lines have kind of, leaks have come out of what's it going to look like and how many different phones they're going to have. But with this, it's more of a, hey, anything could happen. So we actually had 3 really big updates that came out from the Apple event, and they were all ones that I was really excited for. There wasn't really one announcement that I was like, oh, okay, that's kind of lame. Everything that got refreshed was something that I actually cared about. So first of all, the biggest one that I think, at least because I'm a fan, and I think even if you are not an Apple person, if you were to pick up one Mac device, I think this could appease everyone. It's the Mac Mini. So the Mac Mini, if you don't know, is their desktop. It's essentially like, what do you call it, the Dell Nux or whatever like that. But it's a
Nook. Mm-hmm.
yeah, but it's a super powerful piece Mac, small form factor. Doesn't come, with a built-in monitor or anything like that. It's not like their iMac. It's tiny. It's not the Pro, but it's a perfect machine for most people. And the fact that this year they gave it an upgrade. This is the first time they have upgraded the Mac Mini in 4 years. So we have waited 4 years for an upgrade to the Mac Mini. The Mac Mini kind of has a cult following, actually. It's people's favorite computer on the Mac side for a reason, because of the form factor, because of just anywhere you can put this thing, the power you have behind it, the fact that you can use any monitor you want. The biggest complaint, the iMac has a great screen on it, especially now with the Retina, but you pay for that screen and then you're stuck with that, right? So if you want your own monitor setup, things like that, it's just a great computer. So first time in 4 years. With this upgrade, you have anywhere from 4-core to 6-core models, so you can get a pretty beefy CPU in there. The nice thing is it has 4 USB-C ports, so a lot of room for expansion. One of the complaints with the MacBooks and with really any laptop is that you're limited on ports, especially with USB-C. It's dongle heaven. But as USB-C starts to get bigger, you have 4 USB-C ports, and they still put USB-A in there as well. So you do have some full bigger USB-A ports for those legacy devices that you have, and it starts at $800. That's also the other part to this that people really like, is that you can get a lower end, one for $800, really get in, have a decent computer on the Mac side. You get the Mac ecosystem, which for a lot of people they like to get into, starting at 800. It can be upgraded to 64 gigs of RAM. You could get up to a 4.6 gigahertz 6-core i7, and up to a 2 terabyte SSD. You can also upgrade to get 10 gigabit Ethernet. Now, this has been an upgrade that I think they have been doing a great job with on the iMac Pros. So the new version of the iMac, the Pro version, that comes standard with 10 gig Ethernet. I think that is smart. I think we should start to see more of these computers, because I think that's the next big upgrade that people are going to start doing to their network. For the average person, they're now getting to the point where they might start to saturate their gigabit connection, especially to a local storage or something like that. We already see gigabit internet service, so the download is a gigabit speed, and usually you want to make sure your hardware is ahead of what your internet speed is. So I like to see that 10 gig Ethernet. It sounds like something small, but that being built into a Mac, you got to remember, when you're in the Apple ecosystem, one of the downsides is no upgrades, right? It's not you can just swap out a PCI card and have 10 gig Ethernet. That's not possible. So the fact that they're including that is really nice. Yeah, that was the Mac Mini upgrade.
Do you know so if I trick that thing out the whole way up, do you know what the max price is?
I do not know what that price is.
That has been, I think, if I was ever going to do a Mac, and I really want to, I want to have one, like, so I can at least talk about it, but I can never justify it from a cost standpoint. I always kind of go, it's going to sit here, and I'm every once in a while I'm going to surf the web on it, and I don't know if I can have, even at the cheapest, $800, $850 with tax. I don't know if I can justify it.
I wouldn't, and especially now with where Windows is at. You used to be able to make an argument there that iOS was more stable and everything like that. Or sorry, not iOS. That Mac OS was a little bit more stable and blah, blah, blah. Now, I can't really justify just paying something to get into the ecosystem unless you have a reason to, right? If you're a designer and some app you want to use is only on the Mac, or it works better on the Mac, if you want to get it, if for some reason you wanted to run Final Cut instead of Adobe Premiere, things like that, if you need to be in the ecosystem, go for it. So just a little quick side story. I just made the switch last week. I am coming to you from an iMac, but I'm actually running Windows. So for the first time, because of the streaming software, we talked about this, how OBS, my streaming software, the Elgato game capture, all of those drivers. First of all, Elgato, they have software for the Mac, but you have to use their software. They don't give you a driver to use the Elgato with anything else. So I ran Boot Camp, which actually, Jim, if there is a reason to do it, these Macs run Windows great. If you wanted a Mac, you could actually still then have your option, just
Sure.
get a big internal drive. So I've been running Windows, and I haven't booted back into Mac OS for 2 weeks now. I've been running Windows on this iMac, and it just runs that well, and it gives you on OBS, it gives you full access to the GPU. So maybe that's a reason, right? So if you wanted to get in, but you also wanted an upgrade, get the specs you want. Now you're going to pay the Apple tax on it. Obviously, you could get the same thing on a Windows side, so don't do it just to run Windows. But it is a nice option. So people in the Mac ecosystem are very happy with that upgrade.
Yeah, it's tough for me to find a spot in the setup here where it's going to get used unless I make it a main driver. And then I really need to use Windows in this environment. And so I just don't, it's just one of those things. I was kind of hoping we'd switch over at work and it'd be like, well, we're going Mac and you're just going to have to deal with it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. You know,
Yeah, nice.
Give me an excuse, but Ken, we'll see you later. Thanks for coming out. Yeah, but $799, not bad. I mean, that you know, that's a Core i3, a little slow. 8 gig of RAM is okay. You know, okay video graphics and 128 gig SSD. It'd work for my mom, right? I mean, it'd be a good mom computer.
It is, yeah. But I mean, but like everyone said, that's a really expensive i3 machine, right?
True.
Even if I walked into Best Buy today and said I have $800 to spend, you could actually get a pretty decent gaming machine for $800.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not good, but decent, right? Enough to get you into the game. I could go in and get a Windows machine. I could probably get a 1060 in there. You could probably have an i5, maybe even i7 for $800. 8 gigs of RAM. You'd walk out there with a pretty decent machine for $800. But again, there's the niche of people that are in the Mac ecosystem that will love this machine. So the next
more things, yeah.
Yes, there are a few more things. 2 more things. The iPad Pro was the next big announcement for them. I cannot wait to get my hands on just to touch and feel the new iPad Pro because they changed up the form factor. So 11-inch and 12.9-inch form factors on the iPad Pro. The form factor has changed to be almost they've got that curved glass now. So when you think of the iPhone 10, the XR, things like that have that curved glass on the edge, that's what your new iPad Pro is going to have. So, you know, kind of edge to edge iPad, they've squared off everything else. So it used to kind of have that rounded as it went to the back of the iPad, it was rounded. Now it's more square, but it's much thinner as well. So like I said, I have not felt it or touched it, so I can't tell you how the feel is. But it's thinner, if you can even imagine that. I don't know how they keep getting these things much thinner. Eventually we're just going to be holding the slate of glass and somehow that'll do everything. But the kind of the big announcement with the iPad, you really saw what direction Apple was going, because they replaced the Lightning connector with USB-C. And that to me I was super excited when I saw that, especially because I have not upgraded my phone yet. And now I have every reason in the world to wait and skip this series of the iPhone, because you know that next year on the iPhone, you're going to lose Lightning and go USB-C, which is awesome. Apple for the first time is actually jumping on board the major standard, and it's exciting. You'll have one cord that can plug into almost all of your devices once you upgrade to USB-C. So we saw that, but we did at the same time. So we lost Lightning, gained USB-C, but we saw them take away the headphone port, which we've had, you know, the iPhone for a while has not had a headphone jack, but on the iPad, being a pro level machine, I mean, you really pay a lot for these. These are the price of a very nice laptop. They're powerful. People are using these in a production environment, and they're not very happy about losing the headphone jack. Now with USB-C, it does give you some more options, right? Like, so for input wise, people were using these to stream, to do audio. So getting audio into the computer was a big thing, and also just the audio out. But I'm guessing with USB-C, I'm hoping we'll see some ability. You know, you can probably get a mixer into there even with USB-C. Hopefully now that that's more standard, you're not going to have to pay the Apple tax for the Lightning adapter. You'll just be able to use some USB-C devices. So with that new iPad Pro, you're going to get the A12X processor, which is the new processor. It's the same one that's in the iPhone XS that just came out. And you will get Face ID as well. So that was a nice big upgrade to actually get Face ID. We were predicting that you would get Face ID in the iPad, which I'm addicted to on the iPhone. I love Face ID. I think it works great. So I'm excited to see that in the iPad.
So the iPad catches the iPhone, right? I mean, that's all out of the same technologies, a lot of the same problems. Today, Mike, I was doing a call and I was having trouble. I had to I have a Jabra headset, and it's okay. It's on ear, you know, plugs in via USB. But my Bose over the ear noise canceling actually picked up my work laptop in like 3 seconds. I mean, I put them on, I clicked the button and they're like connected to RFC, you know, the name of the PC, and boom, I was in the call. Like it was, and I'm like, I need to be using my Bose at work a lot more. In their wireless, I don't need, in this scenario, I don't care if I can plug in or not. So I've kind of moved having a really nice pair of noise canceling over the ear Bluetooth, has made all the difference in the world in not caring about plugging in anymore. That's not for everybody, but for me, good enough. It doesn't work great in this environment because latency, there's a smidge of latency, and it's just enough across Bluetooth that it throws this kind of stuff off. But taking a phone call or listening to music, man, I just can't. I don't want wires anymore. My headset, my Jabra headset at work has a wire, and it's always getting twisted and like, oh, why are we still on wire? So I set up a little headphone stand, and when I'm at work, I pull the Bose out and put them on the headphone stand, and then during the day I use them when I need to, and then they go back in the bag at night, to come home. And to be honest, as I'm not traveling as much as I used to anymore, I'm not using those headphones very much either. So I kind of need to, start doing it at work, and to have them on me all the time or available is the right way to go. So for me, it's not an issue anymore on losing the headphone jack.
How do you feel about talking when you have those on? Because I always feel like I'm yelling when I have this noise canceling on. Do you have them to turn down pretty low, or
no? Well, yeah.
Is it?
I think if I was going to do it a lot, I would turn off the noise canceling. It's done in the app. You can or there's a little switch over here you can do it on. I don't do as much talking as I should on those yet. I don't talk on my phone a lot. So, and lately I've done most of my calls on that Jabra headset. So I still need to kind of get comfortable with that. I wish it sounded like this.
Yeah.
Like this sounds awesome. Like, what you sound like, your volume, you're getting good feedback. So that is a drawback. I wish some of those applications did a better job of feeding your voice back, but they're going to run into the same problem because they're all Bluetooth, and Bluetooth has latency.
You're going to have the drunk sound, right? That's why, when you get your feedback, and if you are delayed in your own voice, you start to drone on because you hear it's a weird sensation.
It is weird. So, all right, what else?
The last big, I won't say big. This was my least favorite of the upgrades, but it's still a decent one. They upgrade their MacBook Air line, which I know the MacBook Air is actually one of the more popular laptops. People who travel a lot really like it. It's super thin, light, but you still get the full desktop environment, which on the Mac side, the Mac has not mastered that yet. It's my one gripe about the iPad is that still when you use the iPad, there are just things that you want the full desktop experience on that you don't get in iOS. So that being said, the MacBook Air has become extremely popular with our salespeople. At least they love to travel with it. Gets a Retina screen now, so you've got the Retina display on the Mac Mini, and it has 4 million pixels packed into that screen, which is pretty cool. They've decreased the bezels, and they switched those actually from, if you had a MacBook before, you noticed they were silver bezels along the outside of the screen to black. I think that makes a big difference when you're looking at your screen. First of all, it feels bigger, and they've also made those bezels smaller, so they actually are, the screen is getting more of a focus there. You're getting that 8th Gen i5, so a decent CPU that you can actually do a lot with. This isn't a mobile CPU, so you got a full 8th Gen i5 in there. You can get it up to 16 gigs of RAM, and you can also get a 1.5 terabyte SSD in there. That's a pretty decent size SSD in that slim form factor computer. I mean, these things are thin, super light, almost too thin for my liking, to be perfectly honest with you. I feel like you feel like you're kind of going to break it. Like if you put it in your bag, and if for some reason your bag gets jostled, that you could like bend this thing. You can't, but it feels that way. Those start at $11.99. So a pretty decent entry price actually for that level of a machine. It's a fantastic travel computer for those of you who like I said, like the Mac environment, need to travel. Great little computer there. So overall, 3 good upgrades. I like these because these are upgrades that, they feel more substantial than an iPhone upgrade to me. When you get a phone upgrade, sometimes you get the new phone, you're like, okay, it's a little bit snappier. Cool. What else? And like I said, I am just extremely excited. If you have not upgraded your phone, for me, I'm not in that cycle. So I'll come due for an upgrade, I think in February. I'm going to hold out till next year because I really want USB-C to be my standard. I'm not going to get a new phone now knowing that Apple will go that way if you're an iPhone person.
Are you sure? Like you feel pretty positive USB-C on the iPhone. That's what you're saying?
Oh yeah.
For the charger?
Now it's without a doubt. Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Because if they hadn't done it on the iPad, because think now if they want you to buy the iPad this year, and then next year you buy the iPhone, so you've got a USB cable, Lightning cable. You've got. I mean, they're just. It wouldn't make any sense. So if we even have a connector on the iPhone at all next year,
iPad have wireless charging or no?
No.
Okay.
Which makes sense, right? Like the stands for it would be weird. I don't think it would make too much into the wireless on that. And actually, maybe even more though, because I guess you would set your iPad up more and have it. You're not picking it up, so maybe wireless actually doesn't make it.
Yeah, I know. I think it'd be a good spot for it. There's plenty of real estate,
True.
and that could work right in the center. Real nice.
The one thing that we did not see, and I think we can now just confirm that it's dead. Apple's never going to talk about it again. They will never mention it, is the Air Power. So a few years ago, they mentioned that they were going to have this mat called the Air Power. It was a wireless charging mat that you could charge they were going to come out with a new case for the AirPods, your phone, and your iWatch, your Apple Watch. And you're going to be able to just throw them all on there wherever you want. They don't need to line up and they'll charge. They said it was going to come out the next year. It never did. It's been a year after that. And I think we're just going to say that Apple just is going to quietly let that one fade off and never talk about it again. There were rumors that they couldn't get it right, like the charging, being able to put it anywhere wasn't really working out well. You kind of did need to line it up. So who knows what went wrong there, but I think we can just rule that one as DOA, never going to come out. We'll never see it.
Gone the way of Windows Phone. See ya.
Yep. So yeah, which is fine. Let the people like Anchor who are actually good at making those type of devices, let them take care of it.
Yeah. No, it's a good niche.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, that was the Apple announcement in a nutshell. These things become available. Oh, by the way, iOS 12.1 came out. And if you and your family are iPhone users, kind of a big one because you get the group FaceTime now. So now you can FaceTime with multiple people. That was scheduled to be released with iOS 12 at launch. They ended up pushing it back. There was some problems with it, so they waited. So that update actually already went live. It went live right after the announcement. So your phone now, if you're on iOS 12, you should be on auto update. That's the default. It should just update for you. You might even have it already. Also came with some more emojis. I think they had like 100 and some new emojis, something like that, which not a big deal. But the group FaceTime, I have yet to try it, but I'm excited because my family is all on the iPhone. Every one of my extended family, my parents, and we do FaceTime a lot, but we take turns, right? Okay, let's FaceTime your sister. Okay, now let's FaceTime your mom. And my kids use FaceTime. FaceTime for us is really a main means of communication, especially with my wife's parents who live about 2 hours south of us. They love seeing the boys. It's usually a nightly routine, actually. They'll probably FaceTime them every night, and our sons just love it. Now that Emmett's old enough, he asks if he can call them, and he'll go and he'll FaceTime his grandma.
That's a great way to do it. It's a great way. Mike, I live in the weirdest family. I'm not, Sammy and I are the only two, and all of us that have an iPhone. Everybody else is Android, including Sarah, and it's just the weirdest thing. So I can FaceTime her. It's funny. We never FaceTime. Like
really?
We Skype.
Okay. From her phone?
No, from her laptop.
Yeah,
it's cool.
Because on the phone, the reason iMessage and FaceTime took off is because it's so natural and built.
No, right on.
Apples.
I know. I should call her. Like I could call her anytime and do it that way. It's super easy and easy to do. And I never do. I don't even think about it.
And when you call her, even if you're just going to do a voice call, try the FaceTime audio. That's weird. It is so crystal clear. It's almost creepy. It almost sounds like they're actually right next to you.
Yeah. No, it's good. I know it's super good. It's all optimized for that. So we just don't. But anyways, live and learn. If you're out there in that ecosystem and you're using it, those are kind of the updates. I've heard some mixed messages from Mac fans kind of going, some going, oh, this is great, and others kind of yawn. Okay, this wasn't really innovative. Mike, it really isn't that innovative, right? This refresh doesn't have really anything new.
It's not meant to be. It's a refresh, right? Okay. Like I don't think we were expecting them to come out with some big brand new shiny thing. From Apple right now, they're in a stage where you know what you're going to get, and you're going to get some upgrades along the way. I just think that we are glad to see that they're making actually worthwhile upgrades. So if you weren't expecting the big shiny new object, I think you could at least see that They were decent upgrades. We saw USB-C taking over. It makes me extremely happy. You see form factor upgrades to that iPad Pro, really focusing on the Pro, making it like a true laptop replacement. We just have we have a ways to go with iOS. I think next year's iOS will be telling as to if they're going to compete in the iPad market with having at least a little bit more of that desktop experience on the iPad. I think that's the one thing holding some of us back from really diving in to an iPad replacing our computer.
I just don't see iPads anymore. And maybe I'm not saying that in a bad way. I just, for the longest time, I saw a lot of iPads. And lately, it just seems like the phone is good enough for most people.
Yeah.
Right? And they're buying the big phones.
Our sales team they just went all full bore into iPads and they love them. That is their computer though. They don't have a computer. They just, because they're always traveling, they don't need to do anything besides email, browse the web, check Salesforce, which works in the browser pretty well. Those sort of things are perfect for the iPad.
Yeah.
Files to a drive, right, or anything like that, like we're doing in the legal department.
Right. Yeah, they just consume things through it.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Last weekend, after the show, Friday, Sarah informed me, or maybe I talked about this. I don't think I had, that, hey, the handle's fallen off the stove. And I was like, did I talk about that? Maybe I talk about you too. So anyways, so we replaced the stove. When we were at Nebraska Furniture Mart buying the stove, the gal had a Surface. And it had a big, silicone pad around it that they were using. And then she was like using terminal services to go to a big mainframe. They're still using their ordering system is the same ordering system it's been for 20 years at Nebraska Furniture Mart. It's crazy. She terminaled in, or did it all, and then flipped back into Windows and flipped over to another system and I was like, oh, that's interesting. One, it was an old. Their fulfillment system is super old, but you know what? It works. And it was Friday night. It was, a Halloween night at the Mart, and all these kids were there. It was just crazy. And she was like, hey, do you want this tomorrow? I was like, yeah. And so on Saturday morning, the guys showed up, or Saturday afternoon, they actually showed up early. They were supposed to be here between 2 and 4. They got here at 1:30. Amazing. Dropped the thing off. We had the wrong plug, so I had to go out and buy a new. It just had a 20 amp dryer. I learned some new things on YouTube. 20 amp dryer plug. It's lucky that thing didn't burn the house down, because you pull 50 amps out of your oven. Oh, yeah. Lucky. I am so surprised that thing just didn't burn out. So the wiring was good, the plug was bad, and the cord was bad. So fortunately, we had purchased new cords at the store for the new stove. Then put the stove in. I went down to the hardware store, and you'd think, okay, so why would you reuse a dryer, a 20 amp dryer plug-in? Why would you reuse that in most cases? Well, that's because that plug is like $150, except it's not. It's $8.99 at Ace Hardware. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? Someone wired a dryer plug in a dryer, cable cord to save $20. Like, seriously? Yeah. Wow is right. Like,
how much is the one for the
new one's $10. Like, and the cable's $15. Like, seriously, you didn't want to spend $25 to, like, and this was 20 years ago when they put this thing in, and so it was probably $15. And I was just like, come on. Because I was expecting, when I got to the hardware store, I was seriously expecting this thing to cost $50, because you're like, okay, the only reason someone would reuse a dryer plug is because they're trying to save money. But $10? Come on. It was 1980. Who knows? Yeah. So so that was my weekend. But interestingly, I learned all that. So I was like, why do I have this plug? Why do I have that plug? Guess what? YouTube, 15 minutes, taught me everything I needed to know about why it's 20 amp 3-wire, why it's 50 amp 3-wire, how it needs to look on your fuse box, how it needs to be installed. Like, 15 minutes, I'm like, hey, I'm good. Like, I went to the hardware store, exactly what I need. boom, 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 plug that thing in, golden. And
Power of YouTube. You can really
freaking YouTube. The one of the things I want to update, we've talked about before what we're watching, and I think I've been watching this channel called Paul's Hardware.
It's fantastic.
There's a link to it, going to be a link to it in the show notes out there. You can find it on YouTube if you want to. He has 876,000 subscribers. No,
he's got
861,000 subscribers.
That's all he has. This guy's pretty big.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was a lot, but like 861,000, Mike. Anyways, he has built, and lately he's been building like most powerful gaming rigs for $500 or for $750. He just recently built a $10,000, what he's calling, what's he calling, Riptide or something like that, or
old one. He's upgrading Riptide.
Yeah, maybe he is.
Yeah.
But he has been like, I have learned so much about builds that, like, because builds have changed. I haven't built since I built this one that I'm podcasting on right now. That's like 4 years ago. So, and I don't water cool. I haven't, that was all before SSDs got as cheap. He bought 4 2 terabyte SSDs for this rig, and he striped 2 of them and then used the other 2 for just storage. And I'm like, now, to be honest, it's not that expensive now to get, 2468 terabytes of SSD, $800 maybe, I think, something like that.
People are spending that on a computer.
No, right on.
Yeah.
So if you haven't checked out Paul's Hardware, and he's not a douchebag, like, he's a super nice guy, and he's really good at what he does on YouTube.
Have you watched Jay's 2 cents?
No.
Okay, so Jay and Paul are like the, kind of the 2 bigger guys in the building sphere. So if you go to Jay's 2 cents, same sort of thing. I thought they were a lot bigger. So Jay is at 1.7 million subscribers. So he's about double what Paul is. Same type of content though. And if you're just a computer nerd, if you're a computer nerd, you probably have watched these guys and not even realized it. But yeah, they're both just awesome.
Actually, there's a link to Jay's 2 cents from Paul's page.
Yeah, and you could just get in a rabbit hole with Jay's videos. They're awesome. He actually did a build for Post Malone, the rapper. He did a build for, who's the other superstar he did for? He's awesome. He does reviews of all the different cards, and he gets sent everything. So he's always got the testing of everything. Learned a lot about water cooling from him. Oh, Terry Crews. That's who he did a build for.
It does make you a little jealous when you're like, yeah, like Paul one time was like, yeah, AMD sent this to me. I didn't even ask him to. They just sent it to me.
Well, that's the way Jay is. He's like, I don't even know what I'm going to do with this. I don't even know what build I'm going to do.
Yeah. No, right on. Yeah, you're like, he unboxes it. I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah. And yet I don't, like, it's hard making those videos. Those guys, they spend all day. It's hard work doing what they do. Yeah.
And these guys are consistent. They've got a video coming out every single day, or almost every day.
Yeah. No, they do a lot of work. I'm sure there's pretty good revenue in it. YouTube's doing everything it can to block all that revenue for them. YouTube is not the friend of content creators, and you just they continually try to take more and more and more away from them in what they're doing. Google's got some problems. Listen, I'm going to go on record right now. November 1st, 2018. I think 2019 is going to be a really difficult year for Google.
You think?
Yeah, I do. Not financially. No, I think internally they are gonna struggle with some things. I think today, I don't know if you've been following the news on Google today. I think today is the tip of the iceberg for what's going on. Google has always been a really weird company, especially the last couple years. Didn't smell right. Like, things, you would hear about things going on the inside, and you would see weird things happening in their products, and they would do things you wouldn't understand. And the YouTube deal where they basically cut off content creators at the knees. And
I think that got a lot of bad press. I don't think was deserved though, because I think people had some weird expectations. Because I think from YouTube's standpoint and from the business's standpoint. So Jim and I run this really cool business, and we want to advertise. We don't want our advertisement showing up alongside some really, not even X-rated, but just a video that we don't agree with morally or whatever, like you've got to kind of think about the people that are supporting the platform. And people on YouTube, I think, just think, oh, I can throw anything out there and I'll make money off the ad revenue and put ads. And they don't think fully through the side effects of the businesses that are paying the money to put the ads there. I'm not going to pay my money to have it next to your, white supremacist video or anything like that. Now, did they make mistakes? Did they demonetize people who shouldn't have been demonetized? Yeah, it's an algorithm, right? They can't go and monitor everyone that's on YouTube. Did they need to tweak that? Yes. But I think people give them such a hard time for the reasons behind it, and I totally got it. Now, granted, my income is not YouTube.
Right.
I get it, but first of all, they made you a platform that all you have to do is click a button and it makes you money. Like you make videos. Like think about how hard that would have been for you to go out and get advertisers. Yeah. Unless you're the big guy, you're never going to be able to get that done on your own. So it's a very hard service. They're offering it to you for free, and then they had to actually go in and think about the businesses who are paying for the advertisements, and people didn't like it.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that's the only reason. I just from the outside in, there's just some weird, like things don't line up for me with them right now. I just they're making some weird choices. They're doing some strange things, and you kind of I don't know. I can't explain it. I just got that feeling.
I know what you mean. On the other side of things, like there is just a weird feeling about them in other areas.
There's a weird vibe. It's what happens to these companies, and this happened to Microsoft, by the way. It's what happens. It's what's happening inside Oracle at the moment, too. When these companies get so big and powerful, and then the executives start thinking they can do anything they want, like we can do anything we want, and that starts leading to weird product decisions, weird employee decisions, weird policies, inappropriate behavior, and you just, it starts breeding this this arrogance. And I can't speak for Amazon. I don't really see the same corporate culture at Amazon right now. Facebook has had its problems, certainly has had its problems, and I don't think they're over, by the way. There's a child running that company, but it is, I don't know. I'm going to go on record saying I think 2019 is going to be a difficult year for them. Employee policy product wise.
I agree. And I wonder what the difference is, like what culturally or what's the difference between, like, why don't we see these type of issues? I mean, not to say they don't have their issues, but with Microsoft and Apple, like you're not going to see the same type of issues that you see at Google, Facebook, all of those.
Yeah, Microsoft learned. That's why
is it the overnight success that these guys have had? I mean, speaking in term of how long they've been in the industry, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, well, Apple's weird because it's secretive, and so you don't know. We don't really know what's going on the inside. Microsoft has already been cold of all that. Like, when they went through the antitrust and the DOJ stuff and the EU stuff, I mean, they got ripped apart from the inside out. And most of those guys, to be honest, who ran the company and felt bulletproof are gone in a lot of ways. And now we have, I don't think Tim Cook is the same guy as Steve Jobs. Okay. And I think he's actually nice. Yeah. I don't think he's a total dick. And so, you're like, so I think that's different. I don't know. It is. Yeah. Kevin Schoonover says age of companies. Microsoft has had a lot of these same issues many years ago. Yeah. I think they're a little more mature. Google, again, remember, Google and Facebook have young CEOs and have young leadership. And yes, they're in their 30s now, but that's still, they have grown up and known nothing else, right? They got rich in their mid-20s. They're filthy rich now. And that's just not that is like not a good recipe for making good decisions.
Probably true.
So it is, it'll be interesting to see what we see in those companies coming up. I just think 2019 is going to be tough. Little walkout today at Google, which is a kind of what spurred me on to go, okay, that's that's a little different when, they had a bunch of women walk today and say,
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
there's a lot of inappropriate things going on. And, it's part of the Me Too. And they could get swept up in it. Some of it's true. I bet some of it's false. But gentlemen, let me just say this, because I know that tonight Emily's not out there. Okay, there isn't a single woman listening to this podcast. Gentlemen, behave yourselves. Like, behave yourselves. You don't be that way. The good news is, Mike, I think all of our listeners are that way. I think everybody's like, but gentlemen, like, and teach your boys. Like, this is not appropriate. Like, it doesn't have to be this way. And it just doesn't have to be this way. My daughter is at Northwest Missouri State and studying journalism, and man, she is all over this. So I see it on her Facebook. I just see it all over her Facebook all the time. And I really applaud her. She's standing up for what she really believes is true. And it's a great cause. But it kind of breaks my heart a little bit that we have to have these things have to happen. Right. So gentlemen, please do the right thing. Okay. Mike, I think we got through it.
I agree.
I think we got through it. Just a couple reminders. We'll stay around. If you're in the live show, stay around for a little bit of crypto. I've got some funny, I don't know if it's funny, but some interesting crypto news, a bunch of it this week. Some things coming out, some updates on some of the things we've been following. So stay around. If you want to join us for crypto, theaverageguy.tv/Patreon does that, get you there. And that's the way to get it done. If you want to join us in the Fitbit group, and it's not really a group, but you can just get attached to me, and then we do these challenges. Jim at theaverageguy.tv. Send me the email address that you use for Fitbit. That's the best way to get it done. Erin, by the way, connected in that group last week, so we'll get her in on some of these challenges, and that should be a lot of fun. Don't forget, if you want to join us on Patreon, and I always appreciate it if you financially support us here, always helpful in doing the things that we do to get things done here. You can head over to theaverageguy.tv and click on the Patreon button, or just go to theaverageguy.tv/Patreon. Get you there either way. If you got any ideas, some things you want to communicate with me on, you can send me an email, Jim at theaverageguy.tv. You can track me down on Twitter at J Collison. Mike is over there at Wieger Tech. Follow him on Twitch if you want to do it that way. They find you the Nerd Dad, right? Is that the
Dad Nerd? I know you always don't want to say the Nerd Dad. Even me, I say it wrong, but the Dad
Nerd.
Yeah.
All right, I get it.
We'll be on there after the post show. So probably 10 o'clock.
Okay. Kevin, send me that Black Friday. He's putting it in the chat room. I won't get it out of there. We would love to have if you catch Black Friday sneak peek stuff, send it to me in an email, Jim at theaverageguy.tv. So Mike and I can get it in the show notes for not next week, but the week after as we start. And we're not looking for the Black Friday deals that started like in September, because they do. Black Friday in September. No, it's like November. It's not. You can't. No, you can't. No, you can't do that. It doesn't work that way, advertisers. Apparently, January is Black Friday. You never know anymore, right? But for the deals that are coming, truly Black Friday deals, send those over to me, and Mike and I will go through those, some comments about them. We'll talk a little bit about the gadgets that are coming. Don't forget the Average Guy platform, both web and media hosting, powered by Maple Grove Partners. We didn't get a Cyber Frontiers in this week, but we will get that rescheduled, get secure, reliable, high-speed hosting from people you know and you trust. Of course, you know Christian. And so for more information, visit maplegrovepartners.com. He had a little, the service, he was having some trouble with his services, and the Average Guy.tv was down for a little bit. And I pinged him. I'm like, are you updating? And he's like, I'm at the airport and I can't, something went down. And he's trying to do it off his phone. He got it running really quick. So that he is pretty amazing. So maplegrovepartners.com, plans start at $10. If you're doing something new, don't forget, you can catch the average, you can catch Home Gadget Geeks. Let me say that. You can catch Home Gadget Geeks. Too many beers tonight, Mike. Android and iPhone app available all at homegadgetgeeks.com. Appreciate you guys using that app as well. Don't forget, you can still get t-shirts if you want to do it that way. Theaverageguy.tv/shirt still available for you if you want to buy those out on Amazon. And then don't forget, where's my coupons? Here they are. HelloFresh. Dude, why have you not done? Did you
no,
buy?
I haven't used it yet. I'm going to. I know. We keep playing on it and then we don't. We plan on it. We don't.
What do I got to do, Wieger? What do I got to do? They're basically giving me you get a free week with this. Redeem by 12/31. I got some coupons here. I shouldn't give out the number too long. I did that fast. I got a couple coupons here for basically a free week. Give a friend a free week of HelloFresh. And if you do a free week, you should do 3 4 people meals. Like, because just take advantage of all. If they're going to give you a whole week for free, contact me. Let me know. Love to get you on it. Man, it's just been revolutionary. I came home last night and Sarah had baked like panko chicken. And so it was breaded on she cooked it on the stone. Oh, so good. Oh my God. We are eating so good these days. It's unbelievable. I wish the wine and beer, they had wine and beer deals like HelloFresh. I mean, they do, but
get with the beer you want.
Yeah, the beer, you at least every week you'd pick like, 3 6-packs that they would just deliver to you.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
You got to start that. We are live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, out here at theaverageguy.tv/live. We'll do a little bit of crypto. Stay around for the post show. And with that, I'll say goodbye, everybody.